Hi guys, it's Sarah, and today I want to talk about something that I just recently took on, and it was definitely something that cleared my mind and it made me feel very much less intimidated by my TBR pile. So I recently read an article on Book Riot, and I will link it down below if you want to check it out, but it was about a girl who started purging her TBR list. Not necessarily books that she owned, just books that she had on her TBR that she was interested in. It piqued her interest for a second, so she put it on her Goodreads list, and her Goodreads list was insane. And mine wasn't quite as big as hers, but it's up there. It is definitely up there. So she talks about what her criteria was for taking books off and what she wanted to keep and what she wanted to take away. And I really liked a lot of what she was saying. It made a lot of sense to me. And I kind of read through the criteria. I was like, well, that makes sense. Why would you have a book on here that meets that need when you don't really need that anymore? So I did pick and choose a little bit. There were a couple on there that I was like, I'm gonna keep those kinds of books for me personally. But a few of them really did work out for me. So the main criteria that I used to cut down my TBR, the first one was if I read the title and I cannot remember the plot or why I put it on my TBR, then it needs to go. The second was if it has below a 3.5 rating on Goodreads, I will usually let it go unless it's something that it really did, regardless of what reviews it got. I was going to read it anyway because it really intrigued me that much. But if I was unsure about it, if it got below 3.5, then I deleted it. The next one was the genre. If there was a genre that I don't tend to enjoy, but I had books on my TBR from it, I was okay with letting it go. And then the last one made the biggest difference, and it made a lot of sense to me. So series. Series can be anywhere from like 3 books to 25 or more. James Patterson. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense to have, if you have a series that you want to read, to have the entire series on your TBR. She suggested only having the first book in the series on your TBR, and then if you like it and you want to read the second book, then put the second book on your TBR, but don't put the entire thing on quite yet, because that was going to bulk up your TBR and make it seem like you have all these books that you want to read, even though a lot of them are from the same series. It's more of a mental thing more than anything. Definitely. But it made a lot of sense to me. And I have a lot of series that I'm interested in that have more than 15 books in them. So it was really bulking up my TBR and getting rid of all of them except either the first one or just the next one in the series I needed to read made a huge difference in my pile. After I read that book, then I can just add the next one on there. And after I was done with all that criteria, if I still had some on my list that I wanted to go through again and just kind of read the descriptions more in depth, if I was kind of questioning them still, I would read the descriptions and then make a decision from there. Well, the numbers first. So these are books that I both own and don't own. So I have, majority of them are books that I own because I have them. They're either on my bookshelf or on my Kindle. But then I also have a separate list of books that I would like to check out, but I don't own them. I don't know if I want to buy them, so it's more like a library TBR, I guess you could say, but I just keep it in with my regular TBR as well. To start with, my total number of books on my TBR was 682. That's a lot of books, you guys. That is like reading for probably 12 years without even buying a book. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. And after I went through my purge, I now have 373. So I cut my TBR almost in half. I would say probably like 40 to 45%. I cut it down. And I was really, really proud of that. And when I look at my TBR list now, I do not feel as intimidated. So I am going to go ahead and show you some of the books I am going to be unhauling. I have a pretty good stack here of physical books, and then I have a bunch of books on my Kindle. And for my Kindle ones, I'll just read off a list for you. I'm not going to show everything up here because it's going to be majority of them, and it's going to be like a super long video. And then I'm also not going to go through all the series and stuff because I do still plan on reading them. I just took off all the extras. So there are a couple series on here that I am unhauling though. Okay, so for the physical books that I'm unhauling, this first one was given to me by someone. It's called The Spiritualist by Megan Chance. And I read the back and I don't know, it didn't sound like super interesting, so gone. Same goes for Two Kisses for Maddie by Matthew Logelin. This is a memoir of loss and love. I just don't really feel the need to read about that topic, so I'm good. This next one is Charm and Strange by Stephanie Kuhn. I did recently read this and I did really enjoy it, but I don't need to keep it. So it's not something I'm going to read again, so I'm just going to go ahead and donate it. Next is A History of Love by Nicole Krauss. I did read this one as well. I didn't super enjoy it. I thought it was kind of weird. So yeah, definitely not going to keep it. These next two books were given to me by someone as well. She just kind of said, here, I'm not going to read these here. And I was like, okay, thanks. I had never heard of them before. And then upon research, these are like numbers 15 in one series and like number 24 in another series. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So the first one is called Breakdown by Sarah Paretsky. So I don't know what number in a series this is. It's the V.I. Warshawski novel. Yeah, this is working as far as words go, right? So yeah, it's in the middle, like towards the end of a series, so I'm not gonna read that. And then the other one is Stuart Wood's book, and it's called Unintended Consequences, a Stone Barrington novel. And this is just another one that's like far down in the series, and I'm not gonna read an entire series just to get to this one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and donate it. The next one I have is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. I actually have another copy of this that I found at Goodwill, and it was just a nicer copy. The cover was different and just really, really pretty, so I picked that up instead. So this is literally just, I replaced it with a different copy, so I'm going to donate this one. This one is not have a cover on it. I don't know what happened to the cover. Family First by Dr. Phil, and I'm just never going to read it. Not going to happen, so bye-bye. This next one might be a little controversial, so I'm sorry. Passenger by Alexander Bracken. I didn't like it to the point where I'm not even going to read the second one. Yeah, I bought this new release, super excited for it, and I did not like it. Like, I kind of like the ending a little bit. It got much better towards the end, but still not enough for me to care about whether or not I own it. I guess you could say it definitely wasn't a favorite at all. And yeah, I don't know, something about this, I did not enjoy it, and I don't care to keep it, unfortunately. So I considered keeping it, honestly, because I love this cover, which is so stupid. Like, I should not keep a book I didn't enjoy just because I like the cover. And I'm not even gonna see the cover on my shelves. I'm gonna have it, whatever. So I'm going to donate it and pass it on, and hopefully someone else can take this and enjoy it much more than I did. These next three books are all by the same author, and it's just not something I'm really interested in anymore, but I picked them up when they were super cheap at a used bookstore when we lived in Tucson. But these are books by Lori Notaro. This is called The Idiot Girls Action Adventure Club. I Love Everybody and Other Atrocious Lies, and Autobiography of a Fat Bride. So I picked these up because they were cheap and they sounded funny, and I had heard that she was a funny author. These are all nonfiction, but I'm kind of getting away from just like funny nonfiction type books unless it's written by a celebrity, and even then I'm still kind of about it. So yeah, I'm just realizing I'm not going to read them, so I'm going to donate them. And these next three books are also all written by the same author, and it's just not something I don't think I'm going to read anymore. So these are books by Michael Pollan, and he is a food writer, so he writes about food and where our food comes from and the importance of it, which I think is very important. But at the same time, I think if I want information like this, I'm going to watch a documentary versus reading a book. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass them on. But the first one is Food Rules. This one is The Omnivore's Dilemma, and then In Defense of Food. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass these on too, because I really honestly don't foresee myself reading these. And this next one is called Southern Charm by Tinsley Mortimer. This one was a really low rating on Goodreads. I picked this up on Book Outlet because it was like $1, I think. But yeah, I've heard it's just nothing but fluff and not worth reading, and it just was kind of terrible. Tinsley Mortimer is actually like a socialite in New York City, so if that tells you anything, sorry. But yeah, so it's probably going to be a waste of my time, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass it on. This next one is The Good Neighbor by A.J. Banner. I did read this one, and I did enjoy it. It was kind of middle of the road for me, but it was nice and short, so for the length that it was pretty good. It was, this is like a kind of a mystery, whodunit type thing, and we read it for book club, and I enjoyed it, but I'm fine passing it on. I don't need to keep it. And this last one is called Alternative Atlanta by Marshall Boswell. I picked this up at actually a library sale last year, and it's one that they discontinued, but it didn't get the best ratings on Goodreads either, and I don't know. I'm good. Those are all the physical books that I got rid of. So I will quickly just kind of read off to you what I got rid of on my Kindle. There's definitely a lot more. So pardon me, I'm going to read from my little notebook here because I have them all written down. But I have them in the categories that I talked about, the criteria. So for the plot that I can't remember, I went through and looked at all the books. And if I could not remember the plot or why I was even interested, I went ahead and just took it off. After the Ending by Lindsay Fairley. Darkness of Light by Stacey Marie Brown. Fresh Kills by Bill Loflem. Hollywood Witch Hunter by Valerie Teheja. The Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann. Redemption by R.K. Riles. Seven Sons by Lily St. Germain. Slim to None by Jenny Gardner. The First Annual Grand Prairie Rabbit Festival by Ken Wheaton, which I actually pulled out of my TBR jar last month when I did not get to it. And when I pulled it out, I was like, I don't even remember what that's about. So that was a kind of an easy one for me. The Rest Falls Away by Colin Gleason, which is a vampire book, I believe. But I have 2 vampire series that I really enjoy. I'm just going to kind of stick with those. I don't think I want to break away. And then I have a couple by Jack Kilborn. The Screaming, Afraid, Trapped, and Disturbed. Those are horror books, like really gruesome horror books. And I don't know. I'm not really in the mood for that kind of stuff. Okay, so the next category is below 3.5 on Goodreads, so I'll talk about those. There's 25. Woo. Okay. A Shade of Vampire by Bella Forrest. A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. These are also, they might have gotten higher ratings, but I questioned them like a lot. So I also have A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. So this is kind of like these are both, I believe, kind of nonfiction-y books, and I'm just kind of realized I wasn't really interested in them anymore. Food Inc. by Carl Weber. I Heart Boston Terriers by Rick R. Reed. And then, let's see, the High Heel Mysteries series by Gemma Halliday, which included 5 books. I just kind of got rid of those. Nature Girl by Carl Hassan. News from Heaven by Jennifer Hay. I didn't even know why that was on my Kindle, but it's not even the first. It's like a companion book to another book that I don't even have. I don't know how that happened. It was kind of weird. The Ruby Red Trilogy by Kristen Gear, which included 3 books. And The Accident Season by Maura Fowley Doyle. I do remember the synopsis of that one, but it hasn't gotten the best ratings. So I was like, okay, I'm good. And then the Lily Bard series by Charlene Harris, which included 4 books. I did read the first book in that series, and I remember liking it okay. But for Charlene Harris, she wrote the Sookie Stackhouse vampire series, which I loved. It's one of my favorite series of all time. But everything else I've tried to read from her just has not compared to that. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to read her anymore after Sookie Stackhouse, unfortunately. I know that's not fair, but I don't know. It just kind of happens. Okay, so for genres, I have a couple different genres, 3 genres that I'm kind of really shying away from. So I went ahead and just kind of got rid of some of those. So for nonfiction, I have Killing Lincoln, Killing Kennedy, Killing Patton, all by Bill O'Reilly. I do have Killing Jesus. I have the physical copy of that. That one I definitely want to read because it has to do with Jesus, and he's someone I want to read about more, and it's historical. But the other 3, honestly, like I have the miniseries or the TV movies on my DVR, so I'm just going to watch those and just be good. So I'm not going to read the books. Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris. I don't really know if David Sedaris is my cup of tea, honestly. I've seen him in interviews, and he's funny. I just don't know if I really want to read a full book by him. Someday Maybe by Lauren Graham, which I thought was nonfiction, but it's actually not. It's a fiction novel. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I did go ahead and unhaul it, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see. And then I have Food, A Love Story by Jim Gaffigan. Probably just not going to read it. And then the last one for nonfiction, I have Do the Right Thing by Mike Huckabee. And I I don't plan on reading it, but I want to keep the book because he signed it for me. I actually met him at a signing in Texas when we lived in Texas quite a long time ago. But so I'm keeping it only because it's a signed copy of a book, but I don't plan on reading it. So yeah, is that weird? It's probably a little weird, but I'm doing it anyway. And then I have, for classics, I have a couple of Jane Austen books. I'm not necessarily unhauling them because it's part of a bind-up that I have. I have a bind-up of 4 Jane Austen novels, but I just took them off my TBR because I don't know if I'm going to get to them. I just don't know. I might not, but I'm not pressuring myself to read them. I did read one book out of there, which was Pride and Prejudice, so I'm proud of that. But I have 3 other books in that bind up. I just don't know if I'm going to read them. But those are Emma, Persuasion, and Sense and Sensibility. So I don't know if I'm going to read any more Austen or not. We'll just have to see. But I just took them off my TBR, so it wasn't like something staring me in the face all the time. And then I have 2 that I got rid of that are like different perspective books. So it's the same story told from a different person's point of view. I'm kind of over that. I did read Grey, which was part of the 50 Shades of Grey. It was Christian's perspective, and I enjoyed it as much as I can enjoy 50 Shades of Grey. It was kind of interesting being in his head, but it seems like so many authors are doing that right now that I'm kind of like, it's starting to become a little bit of a cliche, and maybe a little bit of a money grab, which I hate to say because it's the same story. You're selling the same story. It is told differently, and obviously it's rewritten, but I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary. So I got rid of Breakable by Tamara Weber, which is a different perspective from the book Easy, which I've not read yet, but I do want to read that. I've heard that's very good. And then I also did Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover, which is actually not a different perspective, but it's a spinoff of another character from the Hopeless book. I just don't need to read her story, so I'm good. I just got rid of it. And so after taking off all those, that made a really big dent in it. And then I went through and took off all of the really long series. So if I had a series that I want to read or that I'm interested in, I only kept book number 1 or whatever the next book in the series is that I need to read if I'm in the middle of it. So I just kept those. All the other ones I just took off my list. They're still here. I still have a lot of them. I still want to read a lot of them. They're just not staring me in the face every day on my TBR. So I took off a total of 185 books just by doing that, just taking off all the extras in the series, which is crazy. That's a lot. Okay, so that's it. So a lot of books, and I cut my TBR almost in half. I do have 2 series that are on my TBR still, but I'm questioning whether or not I want to read them, and I want to get you guys' feedback on them because I haven't decided if I'm going to take them off or not. The first one is the Darkest Minds series by Alexandra Bracken. And the reason I'm hesitating on that is because I did not like Passenger. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going to like her as a writer. But The Darkest Minds has been on my TBR for a while because I heard it's really good. And I believe there's 3 books in this series, maybe 4. 3 or 4, I can't remember. So let me know if you guys have read The Darkest Minds and if you think it is worth a read, because I'm just not sure. After Passenger, I'm not sure if I want to read any more of her books. So I need to be convinced to read those, I guess. Second one, don't yell at me. Divergent. I have not read any of the Divergent books. I have not seen any of the movies. And I don't know if I want to. When it first came out, I really wanted to read it. And I should have read it then. I should have read it when it was all hyped up and all that stuff. But I have heard that the ending is really bad. Not bad, but like it's disappointed a lot of people. And I don't know if I want to read 2 books and then get to a 3rd book and be upset and be disappointed to the point where it affects how I feel about the whole thing. So I don't know if I want to read it or not. And so this might be another one that I need to be talked into, unfortunately, because this was one that I was so excited to read back in the day and I really wish I had, so I had just done it. But let me know what your thoughts are. Don't spoil anything for me. I don't know what the ending is. I know that it just was disappointing to a lot of people, but I don't know which, I don't know. I know that it's like a dystopian and that she's like a chosen one and she's trying to take down this empire. that's all I know. Like, I really haven't been spoiled for anything. So if I do read it, I wouldn't go into it knowing what happens, but I need advice. I need guidance from my book peoples to tell me whether or not I should read The Darkest Minds or the Divergent series, or if I should skip both of them and be fine, or if they're worth reading. So let me know down below. Please let me know down below. And yeah, so this is all of the books that I went ahead and unhauled. And all of the books that are physical here, like by the time this video goes up, I've already taken them to the store, to the, you know, probably Goodwill, and donated them. Unfortunately, with shipping costs and stuff, I can't send out books like I would like to, but you know, it is what it is right now. So, all right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys have gotten rid of any books, let me know, especially if you've gotten rid of popular books. I'm really interested in that. Because I always get shocked when people get rid of books that are like super popular and people love, or books that I love, and I'm like, what are you doing? So if you did that for any of these, let me know, or just let me know some books that you got rid of that a lot of people are shocked that you either didn't like or you just got rid of them. All right, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great day.